Hello my friends, Russell Wright from Network Empire, ThemeZoom.com, and I want to talk to you today about a great help desk ticket about RSS feeds from my friend Kurt Engett. And as you can see, I've got some drawing things here. I do whatever means necessary to try to get my point across. So today I'm going to use instead of my sketch, my digital ink pad, I'm going to use an actual physical pad, which sometimes helps. There's a few things I've been able to do to help people get over some stumbling blocks. Kurt brought up a point on the OMG Facebook page that's been going on, and I've tried to address that. I realize that we have a lot of things happening all at the same time. We have the one Feed Supercharger, Social Explosion. All of them are fairly complex pieces of software, and they are designed the way that they are right now in their evolutionary process. They are moving towards a enterprise level, but they are what they are right now. And so I need to demystify some of the things and get really clear. So your feedback has been very appreciated as the software goes through, all of our software goes through development phases. So let's go ahead and look at some of the questions which you guys have, which are great questions. Kurt is asking, will I be able to create custom RSS feeds for each client I am working on and keep it separate from all other clients? For example, I create an RSS one feed and then put it in Social Explosion on one client site for a certain level of frequency. Then I go to client B to create an RSS one feed for him with his social properties, etc., and drop that into Social Explosion site B for the frequency I desire. Now, that's actually two questions. So let me get rid of the web ring system here that I use. I actually use a firing range target when I'm drawing the web ring layer system to help people get really clear about the difference between traffic, domain authority, and content distribution, which is where everybody gets confused, including with RSS, which I'm going to show you here in a moment, how to clearly think about that stuff. RSS one feed, and then, okay, so let's just go ahead and look at what's happening. Here's the challenge that Kurt has. You have two plugins. One of them is Social Explosion. The other one is One Feed Supercharger. Okay? The One Feed Supercharger is fairly simple. It is designed not to replace Yahoo pipes in terms of domain authority, but it's designed to put your XML page, like you know, for instance, that all blogs have an RSS feed. Okay. Well, they don't allow you to do multiple RSS, add multiple RSS. So every blog has an RSS page. That's called an XML file. Okay, so it's your blog /feed, right? And that's simply an XML page. And of course, in Mozilla, it appears as a follow me for the human domain, and on Google Chrome, for instance, you can tell that it looks like, let me go to one of Network Empire News. If you go, for example, to feed. Okay, we're down. Sorry, we're doing some server work. Let me go to another server. We're actually replacing our hard drive today. Let me go, for instance, to Curation Empire. We go to feed. Yeah, that's down because the server replacement has the images on the file on it. So if you go to feed, you can see that this is simply an XML file. Chrome is the reason it looks like gobbledygook on Chrome. But if you were to go, for instance, to Mozilla, you would see that it has a really simple syndication. Chrome usually defaults to a human view. Okay? In other words, it allows people to follow your feed, which was the original intention behind RSS feeds. Okay? So to answer Kurt's question, it's pretty important to understand that One Feed Supercharger was only designed to help you create multiple feeds. okay, and multiple pages like this. You can create as many feeds as you want. And that's what makes it kind of cool. Okay. Not only that, you can blend as many things as you want. So not only can you put multiple feeds in, okay, not only can you create, here's my little symbol for feeds, all right? It's pretty bad, right? But just those RSS. Not only can you have multiple RSS feeds, okay, but you can splice them together. And here's where it gets weird. The problem is that people don't really understand what I'm going to be showing you in this video. I think it's going to demystify a lot of things. You can splice an on-page RSS feed. Okay, I mean one of your own sites. Actually, on-page is a terrible word. Your golden frame. That means anything that you have access to the server. Okay. In Network Empire, when we're talking about a golden frame, we're talking about anything that you have access to. Okay. So really, it's no different than anything like Yahoo Pipes. Yes, Yahoo Pipes has a whole bunch more domain authority, right? It's got DA. I'm going to use, whenever I'm talking about DA, I always use green because I'm going to show you in a minute what we mean. Okay, got to keep your colors clear. You got to keep your patterns clear in your mind. So if you don't know what you're doing, you're just going to get mixed up. You're going to mix and mesh and splice together all kinds of feeds to different pages. And what is the purpose of all this? Okay, that's what Kurt's really asking me. You know, you can see down here that Kurt is asking what is the function. Still trying to get clear why I want to do RSS. Is anyone actually picking up these feeds, or just trying to get the links back to my property, or is it just some making use of, or is it just to make using search social explosion easier? Yes, yes, and yes. It depends where you're submitting them. All of these purposes are about that, and we've got many videos that we've already, and webinars we've already discussed all of this. Kurt maybe doesn't know where they all are, but he's been in some of our advanced certification courses. But we are getting better and better at covering this type of things, and it just depends. Everybody comes in at a different place, and some of our advanced training gets into this type of stuff. Okay, so that's the one feed supercharger. It's a slice and dice function for RSS feeds. It allows you to mix, mesh all of them. Now, the interesting thing is, and you may not know this, if you talk to Jimmy, we have, for example, something that turns an RSS feed out of your Google Plus pages. We have another software service called G++ RSS Maker. Okay. In fact, you can visit g+rssmaker.com, and you can see that we make feeds out of Google Plus. Okay. Oh, that's going to be down as well because we're working on the server. That's all right. You caught me at 3 in the morning here where we're doing some server upgrades. So what is the purpose of that? Well, that'll turn anything you put your Google Plus content in, turns it into an RSS feed, and then spits it out for you. Can you put that into one feed supercharger? Yes, you can. Okay. And why does that matter? Because the domain authority of Google is 100. Okay, so you're creating a Google Plus RSS feed out of a domain authority 100. Of course, your page authority is going to be whatever it is. You can put it through here, and two things. When we give you that feed, it's located at g+rss.networkempirenews.com, which is a domain authority of 40 already. And we're in the process of juicing that up so that your pages, the point is that you can juice up these XML pages if you want. We don't teach that except mostly in our advanced training, but so I'm giving it away to you now. Okay? So that's only one of many, many ways to enhance the backlink juice and the domain and page authority of backlinks juice with these advanced methods. So the one feed supercharger is really a repository that is going to have all the meaning that it has for you, depending upon where you are in the various training systems, both in one feed, both in the Director's Cut, OMG, and of course the Network Empire Advanced systems, which are quite a bit more sophisticated than what we teach in OMG or even Director's Cut. Some of these things take years to fully educate yourself on. And not only that, they're not even necessary unless you're doing gigantic websites like Sears or really, really big stuff, okay, that we don't really get into that much in OMG. It's not that we're withholding, it's just some of the things that we do are not appropriate for a local site. Okay, we're trying to build massive domain authority and page rank. So that's why this is why I invented the Google Plus RSS Maker, why Sue and I built it. Before Jimmy was even around, when Jimmy came on board, he started helping us look at how we can enhance these functions. But it's one of the things that really helped us spark is to understand that RSS feeds are about, you can put different sources. If you have, remember, domain authority into an RSS feed is also domain authority out. And then you can juice up even those locations. And what you do is you start getting massive backlinks. So that's for SEO. So you can use one Feed Supercharger for SEO. Okay, but you can also use it for traffic. I'm going to get into that here in a second. Okay. So traffic would be when a feed is used for the purposes of syndicating it through a location that has actual followers. Okay, and we're going to talk about that. This is why some people have been confused by the concept of the one feed to rule them all, because we do use feeds both for syndicating content into highly populated areas of human beings, but we also syndicate those RSS feeds to very weird, unusual, and obscure areas that have massive domain authority that juice up the backlinks driven to your primary site. And we're going to get into that as well. Okay, so another question that Kurt asks really well is that when you start to throw social explosion in there, I think it begins to confuse the issue, because social explosion has a location inside the plugin where you can add an RSS feed in. Okay, well, what RSS feed would you put social explosion in? Well, think about what you're doing there. Whatever feed goes into social explosion, okay, what social explosion does is if you have just like one of these XML pages, social explosion creates this XML. If you take an XML feed or an RSS feed and you put it inside Social Explosion, which is a credit-based token system, and you have your blog, remember you can set a blog to how many links you want in your RSS feed, whether it's 50, 100, or 200. Okay? Social Explosion is going to take all of those and syndicate them through the Social Explosion Signal Exchange network. Okay, it's a network of sites. And it's a network of social accounts and people's accounts that will post your blog post with link shorteners. And the link shorteners that are included in this are bit.ly, Google link shortener. We use several other ones. I think we use Twitter. We have about 2 other ones. Okay, and it goes out to a massive number over a period of time, depending upon what you've decided with the Social Explosions calculator. It's going to go out to literally a huge branch of social locations. These are accounts that you don't have to set up. That makes it different than OnlyWire or all these other, or if this then that, because these accounts already exist. They exist without your, and they are of various qualities. Okay, I've been asked about that. We have really, really, really real accounts owned by real people, but we also have lesser quality accounts, which are still going to give you domain authority from each one of those. And further, we do all the work within our own systems to get them indexed. Okay, so these Twitter accounts and Delicious accounts and Digo accounts and Pinterest accounts are indexed on the search engines. Okay, so that's the advantage of Social Explosion. Okay, is that if you just put your regular blog in it and you don't use the RSS feed, it's just going to schedule one post at a time. Each time you put a post out, each time the publish button is clicked automatically or manually, then just one thing at a time is going to be scheduled. And all you have to do is go to wpsocialexplosion.com /calculator to carefully select which package you'd like to purchase. And I would like you to proceed with caution so that you know what budget you're going to be under. Actually do the math. Ask yourself using our calculator, what are the number of posts you're going to have on this blog per month? You want 200 posts a month, if you want 50, and go ahead and use the calculator. Do you want to do low frequency, low duration? And we explain what all this means. Low means every 23 to 25 hours for 2 to 4 days. We have a pretty sophisticated system of publishing. Okay. The reason we have this is because some people want a whole lot of social signals pointed back at that post, and some want not as many. Okay, so what Kurt is trying to ask is a great question. He wants to know about two things, and it's quite confusing because if you're not clear on how this works, you don't have to put an RSS feed from one Feed Supercharger into Social Explosion. These things are two completely different applications. You can use them together, and you can splice and dice things. But just know the big thing you need to be aware of is that if you put an RSS feed in there, there is no undo. If you've got 50, 100, or 200, it's going to schedule all of them. Now, you might have got various things back from our help desk support who knows this software probably less clearly than I do, because I helped design it, and even I get lost in some of these things, so I'm not the only one designing it. But it's going to pull this XML feed, and it's going to give you all these social backlinks, these nodes, to every single post, and it's going to schedule it. It's going to schedule each link on this RSS feed all at the same time. So people, when they first kick off that RSS feed, and especially if they put a long one in there, they blow through a lot of credits really, really quick. But once it's syndicated all of these links, it's going to put them in the queue to post over that 30 days, depending upon whether you've set your toggle to low, medium, or high. But then after it's scheduled everything, it's only from then on, as posts get added to your RSS feed, it's only going to schedule one off, one off, one off. And that's true whether it's an off-site RSS feed or it's being generated from the same blog. For instance, some people take a single feed, like from their pages on their blog, and then they put that through here. Okay, so you can put, the challenge with all of this is that none of this teaches you the strategy of what you should be doing. This is just a power tool. And how to fail with power tools is not the name of this course, because there's 101 ways to fail with power tools. Like there are some people that could put in the wrong RSS feed that they don't really need to be promoting their backlinking signals. You want the biggest bang for your buck. And to understand that, you need to understand how domain authority flows. So the real challenge here is, how does domain authority flow? And Kurt's excellent question is, why do I want to do RSS? Is anybody actually picking up these feeds, or am I just trying to link back to my properties? Yes, yes, and yes. Or is it just to make social explosion easier? Yes, that could be another reason. So part of the reason I'm making this is because Kurt's a great guy and he asks awesome questions. And I've got a light board and some paper, and we're going to talk a little bit about that because I know you guys are really working to understand this, and not everybody does understand it. The reason I like my shooting target here when I'm talking about this stuff is because when I'm drawing, I like to deal with first things first. I think the reason people get confused, whether they're OMG or Network Empire or whatever, and they begin to understand this when they see how many advanced certification trainings we have and why. We have a certification training for each web ring in our system. And the web ring system that we teach is not really taught in OMG and Director's Cut because you don't really need it if you've just got a local site. You've just got domain authority stacking will be enough. Okay, but what we're really getting into is like the big picture, the big kahuna. And I can't really help it. I only teach everything all the time right now. And as a result, we're going to talk about RSS. Okay? So in order to teach this, we need to assume three colors. Here's the three things in all my years of almost a decade of teaching advanced SEO. Let's use three lines. Red line is content distribution. That is the flow of content. Okay? Hopefully you can see my red pen here. Good, you can. The blue arrow It's traffic. Green arrow, which I think most people in OMG spend most of their time obsessing over, as do many people in Network Empire. And that's not I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just saying that SEO is the name of the game, and SEO, gaming the search engines, is the name of the game. And that's all about domain authority or trust flow. Used to be PageRank. It's no longer PageRank. Okay, it's domain authority and trust flow. PageRank is an indicator, but really problematic if you're looking at the number of jumps away from the site. Now, we do get into this when we discuss domain authority, stacking, and domain and trust flow. So I'm explaining all of this to you because I want you to look at the flow, whether it's a small site that we teach in domain authority in the director's cut, or whether you're looking at the large empire stuff for advanced agencies and SEOs where our software and technology creates a lot of blueprints. Okay, so don't forget the basics. Okay, this is your money site. It's better if it's siloed. Why? Because you can rank higher for dozens, if not hundreds, and sometimes thousands of keywords using up to 90% fewer inbound links because you've siloed thematically. I'm not going to get into why that's true here. We have dozens of courses and years, literally decade, of educational expertise. We're the original teachers in this topic, besides my original mentor, Bruce Clay, who taught me everything that I knew in the beginning about Seo Silo Architecture. Okay, so that's really where that's how ThemeZoom came to exist. That's how Network Empire and all of the advanced siloing softwares we have came to exist. So if you've got your primary site, if you understand that there's content syndication, whether it's automated or semi-automated, flows outward, okay, to whichever site pattern and configuration within your concept map you've got. I'm not going to draw that for you here because Network Empire and ThemeZoom have a prolific number of personal brand broadcasting and personal brand content broadcasting. We call it content broadcasting networks. It's very different than PBN. So if you're looking at private blog networks and you're looking at this model, I'm not saying that they're not on this model. They're just not within the circles here. They would be out here. What we're teaching is just the flow of authority, traffic, and content. So if you've got websites, okay, so example, you have your social sites out here, what we call WR1, WRS1. That might be your social sites, but you've got everything within here is your WR1. So everything within this circle, it's all part of your WR1. Okay. These are sites that you have within your golden frame. Okay. And I do not include PBNs on those because you really don't. Those are not branded. You don't really want Google and anybody else to know that those exist. My point is you're not going to publish. Remember, red is content, the flow of content. When you publish a blog post, it's going to go downstream to another site that you own, or to another social platform that you own. Okay? So we'll just say for the purposes of this, your S means social, so it might be Facebook, right? Might be Pinterest. But these are the accounts that you own. Might be Tumblr. But these are accounts that you own that probably have the same brand that are associated with your website. Okay, it might be Google+, BizPage. My point here is that the red arrow, don't get caught up in the details too much here, the red arrow is your content. You write a blog post, that blog post flows to your WR, your social network. So when Kurt is asking me, what is an RSS feed for? Why would I want an RSS? Well, I use RSS and I publish to Facebook through Hootsuite. And I've shared that in the director's cut and I get into some advanced techniques. Okay, and I use RSS to do it. Okay, so let's go back to our RSS concept. This is why I use this little symbol for RSS. Really bad, I know, but So RSS, to answer Kurt's question right here. Okay, why would I want to do it? Okay, RSS can publish to real places. Is anybody going to actually pick up your feed? Well, yes, and you're going to stuff it places where there's actually people. Because if you look at Facebook, let's just take a moment, your Facebook account may or may not have friends, followers. Same for Twitter. Okay. If this is a WRS1 Twitter account, there's probably people in there. And what happens when you create a blog post, your content flows downstream. Okay. Can you publish to those places automatically using one Feed Supercharger? Can you mix all of them together in one Feed Supercharger and publish? Can you mix different feeds? What if you wanted to publish a whole bunch of locations in one single feed directly to Facebook with your little red ink, right? You could do it. You could actually promote any combination. So one Feed Supercharger was just a thing to help you slice and dice for whatever purpose, and it's limited only by your understanding. You could make a tangled mess, or you could make a coherent symmetry that allows you to completely manipulate domain authority and trust flow. Turtles all the way down, if you know what I mean. Especially when you know what you're doing. That's why we have training. Okay, so one Feed Supercharger is just as lethal as the hands that yield it. Similarly, social explosion is just as lethal as the understanding. Okay, so what am I trying to say here? It's like get two things, okay? Well, if you send these to social accounts that are on the WR1, meaning accounts that you own and that you've developed and cultivated, and you decide that you want to automate those social accounts, meaning your content, when it publishes automatically, goes to these social accounts, a lot of the time, you'll drive traffic right back to that post. Remember, traffic is blue. So content goes downstream, sending traffic back upstream. Okay, so when you go to Pinterest, if the Pinterest image is nice, you might get people click on it. They'll hit back to your main silo site. If it goes down to Twitter and somebody hits your Twitter link, it's going to come back. They're going to send that traffic from the t.co link of Twitter back to your site. Does that make sense? Okay. If you've got Tumblr account and there's a really funny GIF image or something, it's going to bring it right back. Okay. So this is what the thing starts to look like. You've got content flowing outwards to your social accounts, traffic flowing backwards to your blog post. Now, what's going on? What else is going back towards your money site? Put your dollar bill here, okay? Well, domain authority. What is the Facebook domain authority? Facebook has a DA of 100. So you're driving domain authority and page authority. Pinterest has a domain authority of 100. Tumblr has a domain authority of 100. I'm sorry, of 90 something. Google Plus has a domain authority of 100. Twitter has a domain authority of 99 or 100. So what's happening when you're doing this? Your link juice, depending upon the strength of your link shortener, if it's a bit.ly, it's going to be 90 something. You're driving traffic in social accounts, but you're also driving domain authority. Okay, excellent. Well, this is where things get interesting. Your Facebook page or a profile page or your Twitter page, you can have a link on your Twitter page, right? So you got to think this stuff through. If you go to twitter.com, one of my many Twitter accounts, like this is a WRS1 Twitter account of Russell Wright, and you can see that Network Empire News has a link pointing back to it. If I take a look at this, you can see that this page has got a page authority of 48. So I'm getting a domain authority of 100 with a page authority of 48. Now, that doesn't meet Jimmy's standard in terms of what he'd like it to be, 53 or greater, but that's pretty damn good, seeing as how I'm also getting all my tweets. You know, if I get my tweets indexed, I don't know. The reason you ever wonder why Twitter got rid of RSS feeds? Because people could manipulate the page rank of every post. Even Matt Cutz's tweets don't get indexed. This is why it's so. What makes Social Explosion so amazing is that we have a giant server running to get all of these tweets and posts indexed. Okay, and as we move into greater and greater versions, the power of Social Explosion is going to be off the hook. Okay, it costs us a lot of time and money to index those things. So that's really what we're doing here. So again, all of this depends on a lot of things. Like you can still use social accounts that don't have any page authority, like mine does here. But it'll still have a lot of domain authority, and that matters. If you take the training that we offer in Director's Cut and OMG, the whole purpose here is that you are driving domain authority and page authority back to the site. So to answer Kurt's question, which is an important question, would somebody pick up that feed? You bet. Okay, so what are some of the things you can do with RSS feeds? Okay, well, we know that your Silo site has an RSS feed. Okay, for lack of my horrible picture here. Well, what about other things that you can do with feed that you might want to do with one Feed Supercharger? What kind of creative things can you do? Well, what you really should do, this is a plugin. What you really should do is ask yourself, is what I'm about to do with this RSS feed, is it for the machine world? Is it for traffic? Real people? Let's just go put humans. Domain authority. Okay, which is bots. This is for SEO. Is it for content distribution? Call this content syndication. Okay, and that's what the three colors of ink are. I've tried to separate that for you in your mind. Is it for content distribution? Is it for domain authority and SEO? Which, by the way, is primarily robots. Or is it for human beings? Traffic. Or is it for all of the above? The system that our team, Jimmy, Sue, myself, Matt DeCruz, Kevin Pauly, everybody on our specific Network Empire team, which of course extends out into the OMG community, Greg, Morrison, Mike, David, we have a profound interconnectivity where we're trying to teach you to incorporate all of this at once in a 100% sustainable way. Okay, where private blog networks and everything else are contained are outside of this integrated circle, because private blog networks are not about traffic to your primary site, and they're not about syndicating content downstream from your site to those other locations. What should be clear about PBN models, and there's nothing wrong with them, hey, we use them, okay, that PBNs are only about manipulating page rank, page authority, domain authority, and theme authority, which we talk about. Okay, when you understand that, then you understand what PBNs are about. Doesn't make them wrong, it just makes them very, very focused on SEO. And the way that you would use RSS has to be really, really clear. In other words, you would be using RSS. When people get confused, is when you're doing a PBN, the things that you're going to want to do with your RSS feed are going to be primarily for domain authority building, for manipulating domain authority. Okay, so it's all about DA and PA. Now, what kind of places can you manipulate page rank? Well, every possible way. That's the whole purpose. So to answer Kurt's question, why do you want to do an RSS feed? Is anyone actually picking up feeds? Well, it depends. The answer is it depends. What are you doing with those feeds? What can you do with that content to get it picked up? Well, you can go to RSS directories. That would be one reason you would want to use one Feed Supercharger. RSS directories are coming and going all the time. They fail as often as they open up new ones. RSS directories are primarily, in our book, for manipulating domain authority and page authority. Why? Well, they give you juice back to your site. Some of the directories have anywhere between a domain authority of 30 to a domain authority of 90. And they're changing hands often, and sometimes they go out of business, but they're there. And you can juice them up. So you might syndicate them to a specific page that you've leased or that you've paid for or that's free. You might use a software like RSS Submit. I'm not telling you need to buy a software, but I definitely have RSS Submit. You can see it right here down on my bottom bar. Use it all the time. Right here, see it? RSS Submit will allow you to submit software RSS feeds to thousands of RSS feeds at a time if you want to all the directories that are currently available. Okay, I got to update it. Okay, but what's the advantage of that? Well, that's going to be sending, those things are going to be out here, they're what you call third-party sites, but they're not even WRS, they're not even social, but they would be out here and they're going to point some domain authority. So let's say you submit it to RSS Mountain or something like that. RSS directory X. It's going to bring some DA and some PA towards your site. Okay, well, you can also juice up those pages as well. Remember, a lot of those directories will give you your own profile and your own page. If you want to be really crazy, you can throw links at those things using the various methods that we teach in Director's Cut and OMG, and of course in our advanced training. So I hope this is giving you some insight into how to think about how you might want to use Feed Supercharger and Social Explosion. Social Explosion throws a weird monkey wrench into it because it's not really related. Social Explosion has its own network of tens of thousands of accounts connected to it. And as a result, it doesn't really fit here. It's out here. Actually, it's outside any idea of ring. People sometimes think that we're creating link wheels, and they don't understand that we're not. None of the accounts are connected. This is why we have a social explosion. A link wheel is when everything is connected to everything else, all pointing to a center. None of our sites are connected in a link wheel fashion. It's also not tiered linking, because we're not giving up link juice the way that PageRank used to do it, as Jimmy's described in a lot of his domain authority stacking material. Okay, we don't tier link, and we don't link wheel. It's thematic, relevant, and with the shortest number of jumps to the money site with the highest domain and page authority. And the only aspect, I suppose, that would be tiering is juicing how you carefully juice up various aspects of this network. Okay, well, one of the best ways to juice up aspects of your network is automatically with RSS feeds. And so these are the methods that can be done. Once you understand the model, then how you choose to use things like Feed Supercharger, my Google Plus RSS software, Social Explosion, you'll begin to understand where everything fits together. And Seo Silo Architecture is not, the Silo plugin is just really about ground zero. It's just really about here. It's to be able to utilize all of these links. Everything that you're doing here is increased greater than it would have been if it was a non-silo site. If it's a non-silo site, you're going to use less of the link power and less of the thematic inbound links from your overall network of social accounts that you've syndicated content out to, driving domain authority and traffic into. Everything works together synergistically. It's holistic. And that's not necessarily easy if you're focusing only on manipulating rankings, okay, without an understanding of how the three legs of the stool hold the entire thing together. And of course, there's another factor to all of this, which is more important in some ways than all of it, which we haven't dealt with. There's no arrow for it, at least not on this map, but that's conversion. Making sales. So what good is your ranking if you're not converting, or if you don't have a high return on investment of product being sold? So this is what this is all about. RSS is simply about a machine-based mechanism called XML that allows you to either submit it for the search engines or it's a handy dandy little thing that every time you post on your blog, you automatically send that signal out everywhere. That's why we call it broadcasting. Content broadcasting. And that's why we call it one feed to rule them all. That's why we call it one plan to rule them all, because you might change the pieces around. It's a concept map. It's not exactly a process map because the process could be different for everybody. Concept map implies that you could choose different things to do, and you could do different kinds of RSS feeds. If everybody in our educational community and network empire were to give you all of their concept maps, there would be 27 different ways to do the same thing, because they might be using, instead of Facebook, they might be in if this then that and go to 17 different platforms. People can choose their own things. As long as you understand the way things work, you can come up with your own types of syndication networks. However, I would strongly recommend that you properly learn how to incorporate domain authority and domain authority stacking with proper content and SEO practices so that you don't over-optimize, so that the keywords, the missing element here, as you probably have noticed, is keyword optimization. How to avoid over-optimization and how to keep all of this happening, and how to deal with follow and no follow links. Where people begin to fall down is when dealing with SEO standards. So we don't cover that when you're dealing with RSS stuff. You just spray and pray and hope for the best. My recommendation would be that you start to take some basic training. OMG, Director's Cut is one place you can get a lot of that training. Network Empire is another place you can get a lot of that training at the very advanced, almost corporate levels of this process. For example, if you're trying to rank for every page in the Sears catalog, we can teach you to do that. We've had massive shopping carts and systems like that we've dealt with, and huge clients in which this ranking is key. Okay? So it's all a matter of size and scale. And that's why when people ask me, should I do this or this? The answer is it depends. Dependencies are the key. The size of your ranking keyword, the competition of your ranking keyword is going to determine what you do, and if RSS is going to help you or not, and how many RSS feeds you use, and how you use them. This has been a basic overview. I want to thank Kurt for giving me this excellent question. One thing I would say about Social Explosion, and this is something that I'm not thrilled, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not thrilled about it not being available yet, but we're we're optimizing Social Explosion and building a new one. When I'm working with my clients, I have one Social Explosion plugin for all clients. For each client. So what that means is I make a purchase. I purchase one plugin, and then I have a unique subscription of credits. For each client. Okay. The reason is there's only, for every plugin and every subscription or combination of subscriptions, there's one report. And what can I say? I'm sorry about that. I would not want to mix one. I would not want to buy one plugin and then multiple subscriptions and then run that through and do it across different clients, because what you're going to get is a mixed report. Inside every blog, you're going to have multiple clients on the report. Okay? So you're going to get mixed. We are making an enterprise version that will allow you to log into a user area and manage multiple clients. But right now we don't have that. So I've solved that problem with my own situation by just having a plugin for every client. Okay, so the second client I would put on a completely separate installation I would have a separate subscription, separate report. I don't use the same plugin. Okay, just don't. And I don't even use the same subscription. Okay, I have the client pay for the subscription, the credits, and I have the client pay for the plugin, and I give them a separate installation, which is better anyways, because if they ever want to go, they can take it with them and the subscription if they want. I don't believe in hiding what I'm using for people. I just use it. Okay, so that's the way that I deal with it. Is that more expensive way to go? Well, yeah, but the client, you should be passing the cost on to your client. If you're the type of person that pays for everything and so you can turn it off when you leave so that if they feel the pain of disconnect, that's fine. That's just not how I personally operate. So when the enterprise version comes out, you'll be able to log into a private memories area. You'll be able to manage multiple clients with one, you could buy the plugin once. The plugin is really incidental in some ways. The plugin talks to a specific license, and that license should be, okay, one client at a time. Just my opinion. Okay, so that should probably clear a lot up of what Kurt's really asking. Because the one Feed Supercharger is incidental. You can have one Feed Supercharger running through multiple plugins, but I like to keep, in light of this, I like to keep all the clients' RSS feeds in one pile. And I definitely don't want to put a mix mesh of confused RSS feeds. You're already confused enough. You've got to get all your clients' feeds together and maybe put it through one Feed Supercharger and just keep it in a separate installation of Social Explosion. So that's what I strongly recommend at this point. Like, there's a lot of plugins. It's a little bit confusing. Just keep in mind what you're trying to accomplish. Keep in mind the 3 transparencies of domain authority and SEO authority, content moving downstream, why domain authority and traffic moves upstream to the money site, increasing the traffic, the authority, the domain and the page authority of the silo site, hopefully silo site, and increasing conversion to sales. That's what's important. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end this. I'll see you on the inside.